G'day team, Adam Kogan here from SSW TV, and today we are in SSW Brisbane with the beautiful Story Bridge behind us, and we are in person for the first time for many years in Brisbane, so that is awesome. It's good to see many of our colleagues from around the town here, so that's awesome. And tonight we have a great night. We'll be having Luke Parker, who is by my side. He'll be talking about prototype in production. He's been working on a very large project and he's going to be telling you the war stories of that one, but basically how to deal with a lot of stuff that looks like prototype code and where the business thinks it's done and how to keep moving forward or to rewrite. So he'll talk about a whole lot of patterns that he's established dealing with tech debt. So that should be very good, but let's jump into the SSW tech news. And the first and most important news is that GitHub Copilot is available for Visual Studio 2022. Who already has installed this? Okay, so we got about half of you. All right, so that's some homework for you to all go ahead and do. If you've got VS Code, you should have it installed. And if you've got Visual Studio now, you should also have it installed. It is a better alternative than IntelliSense. It basically writes the code for you and then you don't really have to do anything else. Okay, I'm glad that some Brisbane people believe me on that one. But if you look down here closely, you'll see that you've got GitHub Copilot or you have IntelliSense next to it. So you can decide what you want. But there's no reason not to put it on. Try it out. IntelliCode, thank you for correcting me, JK. I never get away with anything. And there's no reason not to install it because if you don't like it, if you don't like all the help you're getting, turn it off. But you should try it out. I would say almost all the devs at SSW are running it, so it seems to be more helpful than not. Here's the next bit of news with VS Code. We have local history. Now, I don't know if you remember, many years ago, there was an extension in Visual Studio that did something similar to this. Let's watch a little animated GIF. We'll make a couple of changes. Watch my mouse, and we'll make a couple more changes down here. And what else are we going to do? We're going to rename this to Disposable 2. And see on the left-hand side, you've got this history. It not only knows you made some changes, but it also worked out that you renamed something. And if you make a mistake and you go, bugger that, I want to undo what I just did, okay? You know, wouldn't you like to be able to do that in conversation? You know, you've just said the wrong thing. Ups, let's go back one step there. That would have saved a few arguments, especially if you're talking about curly braces and what line they should be on. All right, so let's go to the next. Do you like that? Who thinks that's cool? Okay, oh, we've almost got 100% there. Excellent. So here is the next one. The next one is about secrets. Now, here's the story. On GitHub, sometimes a developer will commit a secret, all right? And at that point, well, you can undo it, but that's not going to do much. So you basically have to recycle your secret. Now, it doesn't happen very many times. To date, it's only happened 700,000 times on GitHub. So they have a problem, and it's a very painful problem. So what they have done is they've put this preventing secret leaks. Okay, it's called Advanced Security Secret Scanning. Okay, so they're being proactive so that you don't do this. Here we go. Let's have a look here. So let's open this up and have a look at what they're doing. So you basically push it with a secret and it goes, hello, there's an error. Now, if you want to know the workaround they're showing you, copy that URL, come in here, paste that, then say that's a false positive and allow me to push the secret. Now, of course, the average person isn't going to go ahead and do that. Most people look at that box and go, what did I do? And they're going to call over a senior dev that goes, that just tells you you're an idiot. Don't worry about the workaround. Okay. So you like that? Isn't that awesome? That's a community service that GitHub has given all of us, right? Well, if you look closely, GitHub are trying to work out a way to provide enough value so that you go up from team to enterprise and you pay $200 per year per user. And if you think that, and that's only one of a lot of features there, but that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to ram more and more features into here, especially features that enterprises can't say no to. And, that's a pretty compelling story to get there. This one, the next news is Maui. And Maui is our Xamarin replacement. Okay. So this is this is probably going to be incredibly successful. Mobile apps are pretty important. Having a cross compiler, writing once, deploying to iOS and Android and Windows is a pretty important story. And they now have this release candidate, which essentially means that it's a whole lot of bug fixes, but it's a stable API. And that stable API will mean that you've got a go live license and you're good to go. So as soon as we heard about this, we started talking about moving our Xamarin apps already to Maui. And I think if you've got a little bit of runway on your project, this is a good decision to investigate. There is something coming, I believe, which will help you in that migration story. But if you're early on in a project, I would be seriously considering going with it. Now we've got a release candidate. Okay, next story, I want to talk about NPM. Now, do you remember recently Arnold Schwarzenegger did a video about, directly to the Russian people about the Ukrainian war. And he did this thing, and he's quite clever that he was talking directly to them, and he had a whole lot of Russian subtitles. Well, that's what a celebrity can do, but what can a poor dev that is running a popular NPM project do? Well, we've covered in the last several months on the SSW Tech News some rogue developers doing some funny things. So, we talked about the Faker libraries, where somebody got pissed off that the big enterprises weren't paying, and so he ruined his project and annoyed a lot of people. There was the LeftPad debacle. But now this is not like that. It's more like a protest. So this project, Event Source Polyfill, is just a little project that helps backward compatibility with old browsers. So most developers have been throwing this in forever. And when Russian developers ran this, it detected they were in Russian, and it put up a message in Russian to them. Okay, so that was the and there's been a number of open source projects that did such I guess you'd call it a peaceful protest to Russian developers. All right, let's talk about this. Improved eye contact, framing, and background blur. Now, when I record a bunch of videos, and one of the things that the TV guys are always saying is stop looking at the screen, look where the camera is. Or sometimes I've used the iPad and the camera is on the side when you turn it to the side. They say, look there, not at what you're doing. It's kind of hard to do. Now, also, when you're on a real call, and it's a really important call, it's quite important to be looking at the person, not looking semi-away. And that is that feature, eye contact. I guess if you're also working in a cafe, or you're working, you got a dog in the background, you just want a directional mic, that story. And then there's the background blur. Now, we already have blur, but if you look at the blur, it's very clear and it's glitchy on the sides and it's pretty ordinary. If you want a super professional one, this is what is coming, but it's only for Windows 11, and it's tapping into the power of ARM chips. All right, now we have Azure Virtual Machines with these Ultra ARM-based processors. Now, what you want is a faster machine on your VM, the faster CPU that does more instructions quicker, but that costs a lot of money. So what they're saying now is that they can give you, look at this, twice the performance for the same price, essentially. They've kind of said it in a funny way, 50% better performance. Price, 50% better price performance, which is double double the performance, okay, for the same price. So that's the story. This is a similar story to how we were all deploying to Windows servers, and then we started deploying to Linux because it was close enough to performance and it was a lot cheaper. So here's the same story happening again. All right, let's talk about search. Search is so important. It was kind of funny on SSW TV. Ulysses released just a simple video about searching Outlook. He has 1 million emails in his inbox, and I thought, oh, nobody cares about that. Well, it was incredibly popular. Now, here's the story with GitHub. We want to find stuff, and this is the new approach. And let's have a look at what we have here.
It's cool to search the world's code, but probably what's more useful is searching code relevant to you. And that's why we created this scope dropdown. If I click on this scope dropdown, I can choose to search code within just my organization or code that I personally own, or I can narrow down to a specific repository. But the most powerful feature is to create a custom scope that lets me search a set of repositories that are relevant to me. I've already done this for my team, which is called the Blackbird team. So I'm going to narrow down to code relevant to my team. And now let's do a search. I'll just start by typing part of a file name, for example, .sql, and immediately find a bunch of SQL files as suggestions. Or I can type part of a symbol that I remember and immediately see a bunch of symbol suggestions. Let's try jumping straight to the definition of this class. And now you can see the second really powerful feature of the new code search experience, code navigation. So here we're in the code viewer, and you can see we have a bunch of extra symbol information, which is helping us quickly whip around our code base and navigate. For example, let's look at this function, inc contents loaded. I can, in a single click, search for where this function is being used. Here's the definition, and here's where it's being called. Let's jump and see more. And now we can see it's being called within this other function called lowercase content within a struct called lazy content. I hope you can see how the tight integration between search and code navigation allows us to not only get to the code we need to, but also follow the path to find exactly how the code works. Our code navigation is actually even better. We can also, for example, jump on one of these imports and jump straight to the definition, even if it's in another file. And in some languages, we even support jump to definition across repositories, which is super powerful. Okay, that was a great example of searching and code navigation, but let me leave you with one last example of something I used this code search for recently. At GitHub, we usually use the twerp RPC framework, and someone on my team wrote a script to call a twerp RPC endpoint using a shell script. So I don't remember which repository that was in or the name of the script, but let's see if we can find it. I'll narrow down to my team's scope, and I'll search language, shell, and twerp. Now you can see we got tons of results here, but the first result is exactly the script I was looking for, and that's no coincidence. We use powerful ranking heuristics to bring the most relevant results straight to the top, so you never have to go to page 2. Let's click in and take a look at the script. So here we get the usage statement, and we can see how the script is functioning. But now let's try to see where this script is actually being used in the rest of the code base. I'll highlight the name of the script and search for that inside this repo. And here you can see where it's being used in another part of the repo. So I hope you can see from this example how we went from not knowing the name of the script or which repository it was in to not only finding it, but seeing how it was used in the rest of the repository. I'm super excited for you to try the new code search technology preview, and I hope you'll share your feedback with us.
So that's the code search. I hope you like it. It looked pretty good. It's a lot more advanced than what we're used to. Now let's talk about a new feature that has come into GitHub, that is discussions. So we've got this problem. People will, on GitHub, have discussions in issues. And then they've made wikis, which will take away some of that stuff, but then they've added discussions. Now, discussions are on projects, but what they've added now onto organizations. So you just come into the settings and then you add it. Now, I'll just to clarify, I'll restate that. So here is a project. This is an organization, and these are the projects here, and they're the repos. and the projects. This is for Scrum projects being run there. But you can now have another one here called discussions. All right. And that is where the discussions have just come. It's been added only 5 hours ago. It's a brand new nice feature. Now, for this to work, you have to have a repo called discussions. All right. Or whatever you want to call it, but you have to make that. So, and this is what we have now. And you've got issues and the wiki, but you can also add discussions on a normal project, which we haven't here. All right. So great. Let's also talk about the 1st of the 1st of April. Anyone get tricked at all by an April Fool's joke? Oh, Sammy. All right. So this was released about these headphones that purify the air. Of course, everyone said, "Oh, that's a great joke." And then let's have a look.
When you're at home, you're in a protected space. As soon as you go out of your house, you're faced with all these different pollutants.
Dust, gases, VOCs, pollen.
Noise pollution is also a really big issue.
Noise of jets, of construction sites.
How do you protect someone when they are commuting to work or going out? The idea of this machine was to overcome that problem.
Clean air, quality sound, on the move. Air purification inside a set of headphones.
We've got 2 compressors that sit in the ear cups. These compressors spin, which draws in air.
This filter removes particulate and gases from the air.
That purified air passes down through our visor at the front here.
The clean air is travelling round and then exits through this mesh.
And that provides the user with a zone, a bubble of clean air from which to breathe.
It's a great mix of things that Dyson have already tackled: filtration, acoustics and airflow. It's just about putting them in a smaller package that is wearable.
It's been a real journey of pushing the limits of what is possible.
Over 5 years of development, engineers' time and relentless testing, including hundreds of prototypes.
Really trying to drive the development into something that we're really proud of.
Really excellent machine.
All right, so that's a pretty cool video. That ended up being a real product, believe it or not. Yes, hard to believe. Now in SSW, we do a weekly Chewing the Fat. It's a Microsoft form. And for the 1st of April, I didn't think anyone would really believe it, but we made a band and we told everyone that there's going to be a band and you wear it all the time and it tells you everything you're doing. And we had this, one of the guys, Piers, walks into my office and goes, on the day before, "Adam, this is dystopian. This is disgraceful." I said, "Calm down, Piers. It's just for April Fools." And then we go out to the web designer and say, "Hey, we need you to make a website today for launch tomorrow." And it's at the first we said it's going to track every keystroke and every tab you open and the whole thing. And then he goes, "Going a bit far, isn't it?" And then he just does the website anyway. Doesn't. Anyway, so I did that, and you can see the responses. I got a lot of people with it, which was a lot of fun. And so I just asked them some sample questions about which Fitbit, which band do you prefer, and what do you think about this project? Too many people thought it was okay. a bit too many. That was a bit scary. A few people got it was a joke. But anyway, so lots of funny answers there. There's one of the guys in the back of the room, Bryden, who doesn't joke around too much. And he sends this email on the 1st, all right, to the state managers and said, "Hey, I got a great opportunity. It's a $25 million project, but it's going to need an MVC website and support IE7." And so just testing them out, whether they would really go for such a project and make us all shocked. And so he says, "Oh, wow, what a great opportunity. Can I take this one?" We had an older dev, Barry. He's looking for a job, but his tech stack was a bit aged. So we don't think we'd be able to put him on any work. So we let him go. But I've just caught him. We've locked him in. So I also wanted to make sure IE7 wasn't completely dead. So I asked Adam to get in contact with the other RDs, and they've already started a huge debate about it. Apparently, it's still going to be good for another 18 months, and they think this is a nice niche scenario. It's worth pursuing this opportunity so long as we have an upgrade to Edge later. So Brian gets a bit of a shock that this has gone on to the RDs, and then I reply, yeah, I've set up a call with the RDs at 12 noon. Who can join? They want to know more details. Need a technical one, John, an account manager, etc. We want to share the love around. Well, poor Bryden now was trolled, and now the troll was trolled. And so you should call Bryden. Jesus, it's quite the disaster. we had, he won't try another one anyway. Don't try trolling the state managers. Anyway, a lot of fun. So you might have noticed that when you came in today, we are now tapping to enter the front door. So we were having fingerprints before. We were using these Invixium devices, and they're pretty good, but they're not always good. And especially some tradesmen that don't have fingerprints, and it was trouble. So anyway, we got rid of that. We now say that's a bad example, and now we're just tapping on with NFC in our phone. It was very painless. It's very cheap. In fact, I have the box right here. So if you want to know more, let's come up and chat at the end. It's super easy to install. It's just from Ubiquiti. Now, let's finish with a little bit of fun from Reddit. They basically, Reddit is a community, a huge community of different people. Trying to get them to agree on a single conversation is pretty impossible. They did this canvas. So every user gets a pixel, a tiny pixel. And let's have a look at this. I'll play it so you can see. Can you imagine what would happen if everybody gets a little color? What can you do? Well, you can, I don't know how they coordinate with each other to do this. Like they create a flag, they do something else, somebody overwrites it. Like it is very, very amazing that millions of random people can somehow communicate and coordinate to build these little pictures and drawings, and some are quite clever. It's just insane. You know, you basically get a dot. It's phenomenal, isn't it? And this goes on, and this is just a time lapse of what was going on. Yeah, amazing. So Turkey's got their flag there. And somebody, the UK, is that the UK flag? Looks like it. But they're having a war. The Americans are coming through with their flag. And some pretty little things down here. Yeah, amazing. This and all the other talks go on SSW TV. There's heaps of good content down there, lots of things about rules and user groups and chewing the fat reviews and .NET and Scrum and lots of other stuff. So hopefully that was useful to you. If you have any comments, or any news we missed, throw it down there in the comments, and I will see you in the next one.